Hello, welcome to this look at AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide, first edition. This is what got me into Dungeons and Dragons, the first edition. My favourite. As you can see, this is a battered copy I picked up on eBay, and I'm trying to take bits down and keep it together, restore it. It's a job to find some of these books with all the pages intact, etc. But yeah, so I just want to talk about and this. I never had this back in the day because back in the day when I started, I was a player, not a DM. Obviously, a lot of years have gone by since then. I've played what feels like thousands of games over hundreds of systems. I've probably run more games than I've played now, but that was right up until the time COVID hit and I went solo. So there you go. But anyway, so this is, let's see if we can get a slightly better camera angle here. Zoom out slightly, a bit more. I don't want to zoom out too far, so otherwise you kind of lose the perspective of the whole thing. So this is the official Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. Now, it wasn't the first thing I got into the game with. The first tool I had was the original red box. That was the basic set. So that wasn't anything to do with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. This was where it was at, guys. But this is obviously the book I remember it. This image is ingrained into my brain, so much so that I have a copy of this image on a little poster, A4 poster that's behind me. So my DM, he had this. He took it with him everywhere. This is when I was at school. I'm just thinking about the games we used to play, and I was thinking this is a bit of a nostalgia trip as well, actually, guys, because obviously it invokes so many cool memories for me. This book. I've got I've got the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual, and Unearthed Arcana as well, which I'm gonna go over at some point as well. So this is the book. On the front here, this is the Dungeon Master or referee's sourced to be used as an aid during AD&D during gameplay. And to complement this outstanding product, we've added new cover art. This guide is ideal for intermediate through advanced players, ages 10 and up. Now, when you start reading this, and I've started reading it, ages 10 and up, it clearly isn't really ages 10 and up because there's so many big words in here that as a 10-year-old I'd have been stopping every 5 minutes and trying to look up the words. What does that mean? What does that mean? They use a lot of big words in here, more so than your average 10-year-old would, I feel. I'm not going to find an example now, am I? But they're there anyway. And the other thing to note about this book is it's not laid out in the same way that kind of like DMG is laid out now in, say, 5th edition or whatever the latest edition is now, 5.5 or 6 or whatever they call it. I don't even know what they call it. And we'll come on to that in a bit as well. It's not laid out in the same way. It's not in as logical manner. It's kind of more a collection. Think of it more as a collection of information just piled together, everything that the DM needs. But it is in this book. Okay, it might not be the easiest to access, but one thing it does have is an easy way of finding the stuff you want. Like, say, character spells. You get there, it tells you exactly what page it's on, and it does that to a degree in the later ones, but not as well, I don't think. And here it's got, you want a table. You want a table of chances of becoming lost? Well, that's on page 49. And I can tell you that's where it is. But it's not laid out in a logical manner. It just isn't. There you go, there's your table for chances of becoming lost. That was the page we had open earlier, funnily enough. But there you go. That's how this is. And it doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but one curious thing I want to show you here is, well, we'll start with the back. This is the back of the cover. All the information you need to referee your advanced Dungeons & Dragons game is in this book. Whether you're running a single adventure or masterminding a complete campaign, the Dungeon Master's Guide is the absolute best source for information. There's no need to guess the rules. You'll learn spells, monsters, travel, magic, lists, and combat rules. Look at this. This is curious. Let's zoom in here. Oh. See that? Let's get that in there. Games Workshop. £11.95. So this is in the days when Games Workshop did role-playing stuff, particularly Dungeons and Dragons. They were massive on that, you know. And let's tighten the handle there. So that's the Dungeon Master's Guide. Now, obviously, I can't go through all the pages here. Mostly it's information. I mean, there is the odd illustration, but it's mostly information. It's compact. It's everything you need. It's given me. There's a simplicity to it which I love, but there is also a complexity to it which I don't love so much. In so much as what I'm going to be doing in the future is using first edition as my main structure for the role-playing game I want to play. And from 5e, I'm just going to steal a few elements. Things such as advantage and disadvantage. And I'm going to house rule different ways to use that as well. You know, not just an extra d20, maybe 2 d20s or d20 and a d10. Depending on the situation or circumstance, that's what I'm intending to do. Now, the other thing is was not the complexity, because the game, in my opinion, Dungeons and Dragons, I think it became too complicated over time. Now it's become, and this is just a subjective opinion, it's become a little bit silly. It's not the game it once was. This is a completely different game to the game you get now. It's completely different. But there is a kind of simplicity to it which I like and I loved. For one thing, there are less character classes. You didn't have all the subclasses and all that nonsense that you have now. Perhaps I shouldn't say nonsense, because some of you probably love that, so forgive me. But I mean, there were a few. You had a few extra classes later on. Things like Barbarian, Druid, Cavalier. Do you remember that? Illusionist. I love that. That was a great thing. But Magic User was a Magic User. You didn't have wizards and warlocks and necromancers and sorcerers. It was just Magic User. Plain and simple. Wizards couldn't use swords. They could use staffs or daggers. That was their only weapons, really. That was it. It was simple. Clerics could not use bladed weapons, only bludgeoning type weapons such as maces and hammers and that kind of thing. So, you know, swords and that was a no-no for a cleric. I like that. You know, it's their religious belief, something to do with their religion. I just like that idea. There were a lot of spells, but obviously not as many as you get nowadays. But because there was less to choose from, it was easier. And character creation was literally that. You created the character. You didn't have to worry about backgrounds which gave you certain proficiencies in this, that, or the other. To me, that's nonsense. All that comes as you play, and that becomes apparent through the story you create together. So rather than me just going on a rant about it, I just wanted to show you that this is my copy now of the first edition official Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide, which I will be using in the future. Might not be my very next campaign, but it will be in the future. Maybe my campaign will start with one and end with another. I don't know, because one of the things I want to use for this is to hit armor class 0, the old THACO system, where lower armor class was better. I prefer that simply because that's the way I was brought up. Now it's obviously higher armor class is better, and it's worked out differently. That's not what I want, though. That's not what I want. Okay, I want it the old school way, and it will make me feel better about it, I think. So that's my official DMG. This DMG is now mine. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, if you do like my videos, or any of them really, and you don't mind giving me a sub if you're not already, and if you do, you might as well click the bell button as well to tell you of future notifications or for when I upload future videos. You might as well do that. So that would be very much appreciated. To hype the video if you can, click that hype button if it's available, and I would very much like to see you again on another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now. Bye bye.